Hello.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
So great to see you guys. How's it going?
Great.
Good.
Sorry we're a little late. The press it was running
Press
a
day
little
gets a
long.
little bit, you know how it is.
It's all good. Listen, who doesn't want to talk about Sesame Street? Come
Right?
on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, listen, congratulations on this doc. I loved it. And of course, it took me down memory lane because, look, I was 6 years old when Sesame Street came out. Okay, I know I don't look in my 50s, but, it's all good. But, and then going forward, I have two boys who are now in their 20s. And of course, I raised them on Sesame Street. And there's so many things that I love about that show. Clearly, everybody else does. But what was it for you guys? What was the initiative to get this ball rolling?
Well, our company, Macrocosm, is all about building worlds, and we have a lot of original IP that we've done, and we also love showcasing worlds that were built. And I was a Sesame Street kid too. Grew up on the show,
Same.
watching it. All of us. I mean, that's the thing.
Who hasn't been? Yeah.
5 generations of people can call themselves Sesame Street kids.
Right.
But I was looking for a new project, and we wanted to do a documentary, and I had done some documentaries in the past, and it felt like a good time to start a new project. And I read Michael Davis's book, and was really blown away by what I thought I knew versus what I didn't know. I'm a Sesame Street kid. I know everything about Sesame Street, Grover and Oscar and all these characters, but I was really blown away almost from page one as to just how much I didn't know. I'd never heard of John Stone before. I knew of Joan Ganscooney, but not really. And so as an adult, I was just absolutely floored by this story that I thought I knew, that had so much more to tell. So I said, read this book. And she said, okay. And
No, and same. And
Sure,
same.
honey.
Why not? We know,
Yeah.
but that's the stuff we do, right? Because when you work with your partner, this is what happens, right? At
Exactly.
the breakfast table, it's like, read this book.
Right.
And we do. No, but that I felt the same way. I thought, Sesame Street is something I think we consider in our society as an institution, but
Yeah.
it didn't start out that way. And what I love so much about Michael's book was understanding more about how it began and this incredible moment in time where these people came together with a common purpose and intentionality to use this new medium of television and these Madison Avenue techniques, to get kids ready for school and to help children of color in the inner cities to be on the same level, because poverty and racism had put them in a different place than their white preschool children counterparts. And so I thought, this is incredibly enlightening. And I felt that audiences were going to feel the same way. And so we very quickly decided that this was going to be an origin story. And it
Right.
was about this gang coming together, because how amazing for all of us that happened. And we really need to explore that a little bit more.
100%. And I had the privilege of talking to Marilyn last week, and I was saying, I mean, this could have easily have been a 20-part series. Like if you had started from the beginning and then gone till today,
Sure.
However, yeah, of course you need to focus in when you're doing a documentary. But what was so astounding to me was the treasure trove of footage that you guys had to go through. I don't even know where you started. Like, how do you go through
Bonnie, let me tell you, it was hard.
Yeah. I mean, the bulk of it, I think the fun part about, documentary is largely about discovery.
Yeah.
You have this story that you think or the story you want to tell, and then through the process of making the movie, all of these things appear and all of these little ideas percolate and come through. The bulk of the footage that we got was from a cinematographer, art director who worked on the show. His name was Victor DiNapoli. And all of that footage we got from Sesame Workshop, working in really close conjunction with them with their archival team. And it was 16 hours of footage.
Wow.
It's a lot of amazing stuff to cull through.
Yes.
And some of the best parts of that were really just seeing what it felt like to be there. And that was the other part of in doing this documentary. We didn't want to just do like a sort of a normal history showcase as we're sort of flashing through the big moments. We really wanted audiences to not see what it was like, but feel what it was like, to understand that, when you're doing 130 episodes a season, hour-long episodes a season, which is a shocking amount of television,
Yeah.
that this is your family.
Right.
This becomes your family. And, that was one big piece. And the other part was Rich Remsburg.
Oh yeah, archival producer Rich Remsburg was just amazing. In fact, there would be times when I'd be like, "Stop sending me this amazing archival," because I can't even process. We joke about it because it was true. I mean, we would have like, Marilyn would be looking at things and she'd like, "I have these ideas," and Rich is like, "Let me go find stuff," and he would just find these gems, some amazing stuff from Canadian television, news
Yes.
programs.
Yeah.
You've
Seeds
seen
of Sesame.
Seeds of Sesame. That was like gold.
We were
to
so
find that.
happy when
Like,
we saw that.
it was unbelievable. And, that was also and I will tell you, this is stuff that even the workshop hadn't seen in 50 years. We uncovered so much. Rich uncovered so much. And it was, the footage, for those who see the film, there's a whole section around when the show aired and how it was received in the Mississippi, in the United States of Mississippi, in the United States. And, there's this incredible news footage that goes much longer even than what we have in the film. But it was just finding this stuff. It was this what we were looking for, though, was this complementary archival to this Victor DiNapoli footage, because Victor worked on the show. He had an incredible relationship with everyone because he'd been there forever. So it felt very natural. People didn't feel like they were being recorded. They were working with their friend, right? And so that energy was very critically important to the tone that we wanted. So we wanted the overall feel of archival to have that, knowing that we would also need to have some of those benchmark moments, right, where with set time and scene.
Yeah. Now, there's so many amazing things as we're discussing that I learned and that I found out at watching this. Could you even imagine a Sesame Street had they not found Jim Henson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it would be a very different show.
It wouldn't. I don't know if it would have succeeded.
No, and I think some of the fun stuff that we discovered through the doc was that, in the original pilot, they did 5 pilots. They spent all of this time and all of this energy and all of this money on this children's show, and it failed. Like the first 5 pilots bombed, each one of them individually in their own special way, that, the kids just weren't interested. And it was they loved the Muppet parts. They were fantastic. The Bert and Ernie bits and all of that, that was all perfect. Yeah. It was the street that was so boring. And, it was John Stone's idea to bridge those two together. He'd come from Captain Kangaroo, and there was obviously, interconnection there. But, there is something that Jim had as a creator that captivated audiences from his early time. And I think that it was the combination of Jim's visual creativity in building these characters and building these Muppets that had so much life in them because of Jim and because of Frank and because of Fran Brill, the puppeteers who obviously were the performers.
Yeah.
But also because of the connection that he made with parents, because it was all designed for co-viewing, and the fact that there was a value of education there.
I would also go to say that it was also because of the leadership of Joan Gans Cooney.
Yeah.
Here was a female leader. She co-created the show with Lloyd Morissette, but she ran the show. She allowed her teams across all of the segments, to explore and to do what they needed to do. They had they had things that they needed to do around curriculum and educational content, but it was like those were the boundaries that actually gave them so much room for creativity that they never even realized, right? And they talk to it in the film. The original writers speak to that, and and part of that was allowing Jim to create and to make things that were going to be experimental and interesting and help to enhance what they wanted the kids to take from the show. So again, I mean, this leadership style that she had was also such a crucial element to the success of everybody that was involved in it, I believe.
Yeah. And going through some of the blooper stuff, Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Like I can't even imagine what you didn't use. I would have loved to have seen that.
And there will be extras.
Yeah, there are. We are adding that in, which is a good thing.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, of course. We couldn't do that to all of our wonderful audience out there to remove more possible outtakes. But I think that's the fun part, and I think that's seeing the outtakes. I think is part of the importance of knowing that this was a group of adults that made a show, and they made a show for kids, but they were having the time of their lives doing it.
Absolutely.
And you certainly see that in all of the outtakes and all of the pithiness between Jim and Frank and and everybody.
Yeah.
But I think that's an important part, that it's not this show that is without humanity. It's not just a brand, it's a group of people that put it together, and that's why that's why it's an important part. Yes, they're fun, but it also speaks to the show itself. It speaks to the team.
It speaks to creation. I mean, these moments are happening, these bloopers that we have, which are amazing, are because they're under this pressure to get the show up. They've got to get this take right. And John Stone's the director, and they're like, we don't want to disappoint you, Johnny. Don't hurt me, Johnny. Like, in addition to some of this is, and that again was that tone and that element that we wanted to bring about what it's like to be in that moment of having to, you got to deliver it. You also can have a little fun, but you're also under this pressure, and, amazing, funny things happen.
Well, and then on the other side of the coin too, I mean, let's take the example when they were shooting the scenes for with Big Bird, when they had to let him know that Mr. Hooper had passed away in real life. And John had said to them, guys, I'm not taking this more than one time. Like, we are going to do this. And you see, like, the tears are real. And it's just, to watch back some of that footage now and just over the years of the things that they taught kids, hard topics. And even now going forward today, I mean, obviously I don't watch it because my kids are older and, whatever, but just dealing with racism and all these things and how it gets across to the kids. Because sometimes parents have a hard time dealing with a lot of these topics.
Absolutely. We have a 5-year-old, and, we track her growth to when we started this movie, because she was a baby. So
she was just born.
But I think you're exactly right, Bonnie. I mean, and again, this is the intentionality of the show and the mission from when it began from the very beginning, excuse me. And what it is that they provide a loving environment to help kids and parents understand and talk about the world that they're living in. And specifically with the Mr. Hooper episode, there was a discussion, and they talk about it a little in the film, like, do we have him just go to Florida and retire? The kids don't need to know that, Will Lee died, but we actually would be doing a disservice to these children that we've been trying so hard to be very truthful and not talk down to, by not acknowledging that Mr. Hooper, who is their friend, has passed away, and the friend to all of these other characters and people on the street. And so then how do you do that? Well, they did it the way they do everything. They researched what kids needed to know about understanding death at that age and how to talk about it. And again, that is what they continue to do. And as I can speak as a parent to what they continue to do to this day. And again, to your point, give us tools as parents that we may not have the skill set for to talk about. And I think that's critically important, and how lucky we are that it's here almost 52 years later to continue to do that.
Yeah, it's just still quite an extraordinary show. And, like I say, I mean, I can't even believe once I started watching it, how I remembered the words to every single song. Like, come on.
What's your favorite?
But I think that's the thing that we had so much fun with in learning about these creators. Joe Raposo, he came on to the show because he had the opportunity to create the new American songbook for children. And Jim Henson had the opportunity to make anything he wanted. And for somebody like Jim, who had all of these creative ideas all the time, that was such a wonderful thing for John to be able to run a show and direct and create a stoop.
Right.
An inner city street, not some fanciful like Candyland for kids, and have Joan say, you can write whatever music you want. You can make whatever visuals you want and create any characters you want. And John, you can do an inner city street for a kid's show that's full of like garbage. Man, the street was rough on the first season, but to have that vision, to be able to allow all of that to happen all at the same time, that's the experiment. And that's why it succeeded so much, because,
Exactly.
you know, like Nick Raposo says in our film, you know, it was because all of the right people were there at all of the right time, and the history at the moment in America was correct, that all of it came together. And without all of that, Sesame Street would never have happened.
Yeah.
And there's one other quote that, you know, we can end on, is that, you know, Joan Gans Cooney said, together, you know, we were individually, we were great, but together we are a genius.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no kidding.
It's,
Absolutely.
you know, it's about that. We're one unit coming together with, you know, a purpose that was larger than themselves,
Yeah.
and giving everything they had to
Yeah.
make that be successful. And couldn't we all just use a little bit more of that
Yeah.
in our world across many different areas?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, it's been an absolute delight talking to you both today. Thank you so much for this documentary, and best of luck at Hot Docs and further. I can't wait for my friends to see this. I've told them all about it, and they're all.
Thank you.
I wish we could have a viewing party, but you know, we have to do it via computer. But anyway, for now, it's all good. So thank you
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, and take care.
Thank you,
you.
Bonnie.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.